Hello. Today I want to talk about some game mechanics fundamentals regarding minion waves and minion wave management and control. Now there's a lot of considerations of when and why to do these things, but for now we'll just look at the basics. And so no enemy heroes, just you and minion waves and how they work and how you can set them up. Later on we'll look at some considerations of when you might want to do this, or what are the drawbacks and why you might not want to do this. But it becomes very complex and depending on a lot of situations and how enemy team reacts. So looking at the start, let's just look at some mechanics that are not obvious, they're not explicit, and you would only know these things if someone explained it to you or if you got through the trouble to look it up. So let's look at the basic minion wave fundamentals. Now we will not look at special minions that spawn after forts and keeps are dead. Excuse me. We'll just look at the basic wave. So melee minion, leader minion, and ranged minion. Now let's start with the melee minion and the basic stats. 990 health. The leader minion, which is the mage, the one that drops the regeneration globe, is 495. So exactly half, so 50% HP. And the ranged minion is 660, which I believe is 2/3, so 67% HP of the melee minion. Their attack speed is the same, 0.67, which ends up being one attack every 1.5 seconds or two attacks every 3 seconds. Base damage is 20 for melee, 17 for leader minion, and 40 for the ranged minion. So the most damage comes from ranged and the least damage comes from the leader minion, which is not exactly true. We'll look at it in a moment. The other stats are not very relevant for our purpose. The XP is relevant, but we'll not go too deeply into this. Right, so let's look at the melee minion. First of all, very important, and a lot of people would not know this unless they looked it up or someone told them. I'm here to tell you. Melee minions deal 75% reduced damage against minions, mercenaries, and monsters. So melee minions do less damage to anything that is not a hero or a structure. Everything else in the game, they only do 25% damage. That's 1/4. So out of 20, they will do 5 damage to the enemy minion wave and mercenaries and monsters. But they do 200 bonus damage against structures. So they do triple damage to structures. So 20 plus 200% bonus is 60 damage. And this becomes very important to how minion waves allow pushes to happen, and why it is so important to kill minion waves when they're killing your structures rather than heroes. Now looking at the leader minion, he deals 100% bonus damage to minions, so he actually helps clearing the waves. Instead of 25% total damage, they do 200 total damage, so it's 34 instead of 5 to minion waves. And again, 200 bonus percent damage against structures. So triple damage against structures. I believe that ends up being 51. Looking at the ranged minion, they deal 80% bonus damage to minions, mercenaries, and monsters, and 200 bonus damage against structures once more. Now 80%, I'm not sure what that ends up being. What is that? That's about 70, 78 or something. I'm not sure. 72.5 or 72 damage, I believe, to minions, mercenaries, and monsters. Now these are the fundamentals. So let's recap. Let's just review quickly. Melee minions do less damage, and the ranged minions do more damage to enemy minions, mercenaries, and monsters. And all of them do 200 bonus damage against structures. So they're all very good against structures. Obviously, the ranged minion is the best because he has the highest base damage. And the leader minion is the worst against structures. But against minion waves, the melee minions are terrible. They only do 25% damage. The leader minion does 100% bonus damage. and the ranged minion does 80% bonus damage, but still the best at killing minion waves. So let's look here. Now we'll toggle the minion wave, and first we'll just instantly clear the wave and see what that gives us on the structure here.
Sounds good.
Alright, so the minion wave by itself did, what is it, like 10-15% of damage on the tower, and about 20-30% on the main gate wall. And this was by with no help from the hero, right? So we just controlled the wave, we instantly cleared the wave, and we got free structure damage. Again, this is in isolation, no enemy heroes.
Let's get going.
Now let's do a different test. This time, I will attempt to set up a slow push. Now, one consideration for slow pushes is how long the lane is. In this case, it's too short. Oh, might have messed it up. I do apologize, I messed that up. Now, ideally, as we know, the melee minions do no damage. So we would want to fully clear all the ranged minions. But because this is a very short lane, we don't want that. Oh my god. Sure. I'm terrible. Report me. So what I'm attempting to do is I want to clear the 2 ranged minions and the mage minion. But ideally I would clear all 3. Okay, there we go. Finally. Now, in most situations, the lanes are longer, and what we can do is we can just clear the ranged minions and ignore the melee minions. But because this is a bit too short, we need to do this. And now we wait a little bit. Once our wave comes through, we instantly clear.
This isn't your day.
Let's see how much this does. Now this was about 30, this was about 20%. And they have not scaled. So a slow push took out 80% here and 70% on the main wall. A much, much stronger push. Again, there are no enemy heroes here. Now we will try to freeze the wave.
I'll take care of it.
So what we're doing is we're changing the position of the wave slightly favored towards the red side. So instead of meeting in the middle, they meet slightly to the right. When the minions spawn again, these minions will reinforce faster than these minions because it is slightly shifted towards the right. Also, by stacking them, you see these minions did more damage because they were all grouped up, so they started dealing damage early. And so now we have a double wave here and basically one wave here. And remember, these do the most damage to waves, not the melee minions. Sounds interesting. And what we've created is what is called a freeze. So this wave is now frozen, and we'll see what that implies. Now we don't want to take too much damage, but we don't want this wave too close to our fort. We don't want to reset the freeze. So basically from now on, the enemy minion wave will always kill our wave faster. What this allows us to do is soak safely, and the enemies have to push out in order to clear a wave. Now this is a bit too strong right now. I don't want to take too much damage while still freezing this. I will do this, clear part of them.
On the way.
I don't want the force to hit them, so the freeze maintains. Like ideally this is bestly done with an offlaner that has self-healing, or a healer, or a tank, someone who has self-sustain. And basically we can freeze the wave very far from the enemy structures, closer to our... Oh, that's bad. We don't want that. So this wave will reset. So ideally what we would want to do is we will keep the freeze. And this keeps going, right? This wave is still stronger, I believe, but we have gathered a double wave and the fort starts hitting. So I've messed this up a little bit. Ideally, I would have stalled the wave here once again with a self-sustained hero. As now I believe this will turn at some point, and our wave will begin to push instead. Also very important, we don't want to auto-attack in the wave, so if you don't have a button to stop auto-attack, like you should mount. But anyway, the freeze maintains. Right, so let's look again at what we did. First, we did an insta wave clear, and we saw that the minions did some structure damage. Second, we created a slow push by clearing the backline minions, the ones that deal most damage to our minions. And that way, and then we did not kill the melee minions, so that we had a reinforced wave by the time their second wave spawned, and we insta-cleared it and dealt damage to the structure. The third case was a freeze, so we did the opposite. We stalled the minion wave here, gathered them all clumped up. Instead of in a line, they're closer together, so they start dealing damage to our minion wave sooner, particularly the ranged minions that do the most damage to minions. And the wave is slightly shifted to the right. So next minion wave will be spawned closer to their structures, and it will create a push against us, allowing us to create a freeze where we can soak safely and forcing enemy heroes to push out if they want to soak that wave. Now let's look at some considerations and drawbacks. First, with the instantly clearing minion waves. The drawback here is just that we're giving a free XP to the enemy heroes. Usually, once the heroes see the wave is cleared, they will rush to get that soak, and they will get it. As opposed, there's a third situation that we did not mention, which is just doing nothing to the wave at all. And if you see... Yeah, let's just look at this first. Right, so in this situation, as opposed to just instantly clearing this, right, and then the minions push, and they clash at the structures, and like if usually the enemy team would come here, and they would clear the wave and get all that soak, and minimal damage to structures. Well, we can do this instead of a freeze, we maintain the balance here, we don't clear the wave, and we just let minions die. Now what we get from this is first, we get all the XP, we also get 2 region globes instead of 1, denying it to the enemy team. And the enemies, they cannot safely soak that wave. They have to come to the lane to soak this. And also, when we clear quickly, the minions don't die as quickly. They take time to travel here. And the enemies have time to travel throughout the lanes and grab all this XP. Whereas if we do this kind of thing where we just don't clear the wave, they might lose some XP just from passive minions killing each other. Right, so the first case where we instantly cleared the wave, the drawback is that the enemies are better able to soak that wave, and the good thing is we get free structure damage if they don't.
I'll take care of it.
Second scenario where we set up a slow push, where we only clear the backline minions, usually the full ranged wave, but not the melee. Or if the lanes are very short, we only we leave 1 ranged minion alive. Or I believe the mage minion alive would work as well, but then you don't get the region globe. Right, in that scenario, the advantage is you get a lot of structure damage to the fort. And if you have heroes, you have a big minion wave to tank for you. You do a lot extra damage, right? Even if the enemies are there to clear the wave, it still gives you a little bit of time. The drawback of that is, first, it takes a while to set up. And second, it puts you in a position where once the second minion wave clashes, you're really in a bad position. You're at their structures. So to clear the second wave, you will be put in an awkward position in order to get that XP. If you're not in a safe position to clear that second wave, you will lose that XP.
If you're
So
sure.
setting up a slow push provides good structure damage, and the drawback is you will lose XP, right? So first scenario, we instantly clear the wave, no XP loss, potential structure damage. And the drawback is you don't deny XP to the enemy. Second case with the slow push, you get all the XP from the first wave, and you might not get the XP from the second wave, but in exchange you set up a stronger push against the structure damage. And for the second wave, if you do get the XP, you're in a position you might die. So the third situation where we were freezing the wave, we went here to the lane. We clumped the wave together. It took us time to set it up. We spent a lot of time doing nothing. We grab all that soak. And then later we set up the freeze with the second wave here. So what's the advantage? We're able to safely soak close to our structures. And we deny enemy heroes XP. The disadvantage is if we are not able to clear that wave quickly because we don't have enough wave clear, and the enemies come to push, they will do a lot of structure damage. Right, so now the last part. When would you want to do any of these things? And to be honest, a lot of the times you will just instantly clear the waves.
Sounds interesting.
Because there are other things to do on the map. You have camps to do, you have camps to clear, you have the objective, you have enemy heroes pushing structures, you have enemy heroes killing your heroes. There's a lot of considerations. It's not very easy. Now, in which scenarios might you want to set up a freeze? One very easy example is when your fort is dead and you have no safety from your structures, right? And the enemy will get a catapult every third wave, but we'll not get into that too much. It's not safe for you to be soaking, like in the middle of the map. Like people can rotate and kill you. So what you do is you freeze closer to your keep, like your second structure would be far in the back, and you safely soak, and you deny enemies a lot of XP. They have to go out of their way very deep into the enemy map to soak that XP. This is one scenario. Now again, we're not considering other things like objectives on the map, camps and stuff like that. So it's up to you to decide when is a good moment to do that. And this is not very easy. It's usually a very short period of time that you can freeze a wave. Maybe 1 or 2 waves is at most what you will get. And after that, you'll probably have to clear it.
On the way.
Right, now when would you want to set up a slow push? So this is something that one scenario where you would want to do it is, again, the enemies do not have structures. And so your minions, have a very long time to travel in the lane in order to reach the enemy structures. So in that case, you think, all right, I can freeze the wave. I can stack the wave. I can set up a slow push by tanking because I can go deeper into the enemy territory. I can stack them up, put them here, and then only clear the range minions. And in this case, once the fort is gone, you probably can clear the whole ranged wave, if usually they would have met in the middle. And you just leave. Like, you don't go for the second wave. You lose that XP, you will lose it, and in exchange you set up pressure, and your enemies are forced to respond to it in order to defend their structure from damage. And at that point you might set up a triple, quadruple wave if the lane is long enough, if the enemies don't respond. Now the drawback, you will lose that XP, and the advantage, you set up a structure damage push. This is also, a slow push is also good to set up with your mercenary camps and before objectives.
I'll take care of it.
So if you know nobody will be soaking this wave because you decided that it's more important to play around objective, you can set up a slow push. Early game, you probably don't want to do this. early game soaking is much more important than later, especially after level 20. So after level 20, where people are fighting 5v5, it's a good opportunity to set up a slow push if you don't have a mercenary wave. And the other scenario, the doing nothing in the middle, this is mostly applicable level 1. And if the enemy team, for whatever reason, is not disciplined to come to the wave to soak it, you can just,
If you're sure,
AFK, grab your 2 region globes, and deny enemy experience until they come here. Basically, enemies are losing XP for no reason, and you're not. Once you see the enemies moving in on the minimap, you can just instantly clear that wave, grab the region globe, and back off. Right, so these were some fundamentals for minion wave control. This becomes very complex when you might want to do any of these things, but I hope this gives you some understanding of what you can do. Also, very important,
all right with me.
was to see how much damage the minions do to structures if they're not responded to. So whenever there is an enemy minion wave pushing against your structures, it is very important for you to be there on time to clear the wave. Ideally, you want to clear it before it hits your structures. Ideally, you would tank the damage for structures instead of the minions doing damage to structures. But that's not always safe to do. In that case, you will have to sacrifice structure damage, sit behind the wall, and then clear the wave once they start hitting your structures, and get that XP. Also, when you're pushing, you basically don't really want to push without a wave.
About this.
So if you have some planning, you see your team decides they're on the opposite side of the map, and they say, oh, we're pushing the top fort. We're doing the mercenary camp, and we're pushing with it. Well, maybe that's a good time to set up a slow push. Maybe in that case, you just kill the minion. You just kill the ranged minion wave, so that your wave does not die. They don't take damage. And your wave doesn't push too early, so it gives time for your heroes and your mercenaries to come here and set up a strong push.
On the way.
All right, that was it for today. There's a lot more things at play here. Minion scaling, catapults, mercenary camps. But this is just the basic stuff about you and minion waves in isolation, what you can do and how you can use them effectively to help you win the game. Because winning the game is killing structures. It's not killing heroes. It's always killing structures. And losing the game is losing structures. It's not losing heroes. It's losing structures. And minions play a very big part in this. That was it. I hope this was useful.